This video will be an analysis of the guitar and bass parts that are present during the intro of the song. A tab sheet of each respective part will briefly be displayed at the end of its analysis. A brief demo of all parts combined will be featured at the end of the video. The tuning used in this video and on the record is standard E and 440 wavelength calibration. The intro is going to be a 2-measure long riff pattern that pretty much repeats itself 4 times. We're going to start out by placing the 3rd finger on the high E string at the 3rd fret. This finger is going to stay locked on this string throughout the entire intro. Okay, the middle finger will go on the B string at the 3rd fret. Okay, what we're going to do to start out is play 2 eighth notes, counted 1 and, picked down, up, and we're picking the D, G, B, and high E strings as we do this. On 2, we're going to have an 8th note rest, and as we're taking that rest, we're going to take advantage of that to shift our fingers for the next chord. The middle finger will go to the G string on the 3rd fret, and the first finger will go to the B string on the 2nd fret. Okay, we're going to pick this up on the and beat right after 2, and that's tied to a half note on 3, which rings out for the rest of the first measure. With a 4-count lead in, this is what the first measure is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now we've reached the second measure. What we're going to do is we're going to shift the 1st and 2nd fingers down a half a step in pitch on the same strings that they're at, just like this. Okay, the 1st finger is now on the B string at the 1st fret, and the middle finger is on the G string at the 2nd fret. We're going to play 2 more 8th notes, counted 1 and, just like we did in the first measure, pick down and up. Then we encounter the same 8th note rest on 2. On and, the upbeat right after 2, we're going to lift the 1st and 2nd fingers, and we're going to pick the open G and B strings, and then this note that we're still playing. Okay, that's going to be tied to a quarter note on 3. So with the 4-count lead in, this is what we have so far for the 2-measure long riff pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. Now to finish up these 2 measures, what we need to do is play 3 more chords. On 4, we're going to play that same chord again. We're going to pick it down and let it ring out as a 16th note. On E beat right after 4, we're going to place the 1st finger on the B string at the 1st fret. We'll pick those high-pitched 3 strings upwards. That rings out as a 16th note. And on the and beat, we're going to slide this finger up a half step in pitch on that same string. Okay, so with a 4-count lead in, this is what our 2-measure long riff pattern will sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 40 and. On the 4th pass through the riff pattern, we're going to adjust the 2nd measure slightly. What we're going to do is when we get to this chord where the 3rd finger is on the high E string at the 3rd fret, we're playing it along with the open G and B strings on the upbeat right after 2 with that upward stroke. What we're going to do is let it sustain out for the rest of the measure instead of doing the fill for the last quarter that we were doing in the previous 3 passes. So with the 4-count lead in, I'm just going to play the entire intro 1 time, and I won't count this aloud as I play. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice the yellow highlight at the end of the second measure. What that'll do is send you back to the repeat sign at the beginning of the first measure. We'll play through these two measures 3 times, and on the 4th pass we'll skip right down to the 3rd and 4th measures, which are actually the 7th and 8th measures. The bass is going to be 8 measures long. We're going to start out on the first measure by placing the middle finger on the low E string at the 3rd fret. This is a G note. The first 2 notes of the first measure are going to be 8th notes, counted 1 and picked down and up, and on 2 we're going to encounter an 8th note rest. On the and beat after 2, we're going to take the first finger and go to the A string at the 1st fret and pick this up. This will be tied to a quarter note on 3 and a 16th note on 4. So what we have so far is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to do 3 16th notes counted E and A, picked up, down, then up. Okay, the first will be on the open A string, picked up. The next will be on the 1st fret of the A string with the 1st finger, picked down. And the next note will be the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, picked up. With the 4 count lead in, this is what the first measure sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, E and A. And now we have reached the second measure. We're going to begin by placing the first finger on the A string at the 3rd fret. The first 2 notes are going to be 8th notes, counted 1 and picked down and up, just like the last measure. On 2, we're going to encounter the same 8th note rest, just like the last measure. On the and beat after 2, we're going to take the middle finger and go to the low E string on the 3rd fret and pick this up. Okay, this is an 8th note that's going to be tied to a dotted 8th note on 3. With the 4 count lead in, this is what the second measure sounds like so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, on the A beat, which is the final 16th note of the 3rd quarter, we're going to pick that G note upwards one more time. We'll finish up the measure by playing 3 more notes, counted 4 E and picked down, up, down. This is 2 16th notes followed by an 8th. Okay, the first note is with the 1st finger on the A string at the 2nd fret. That's your 4 beat picked down. The E beat picked up is the middle finger on the A string at the 3rd fret. And the and beat is the 3rd finger on the A string at the 4th fret picked down. So with the 4 count lead in, here's what the second measure will sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and. With the 4 count lead in, let's run through the first 2 measures in sequence just one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and. And now we have reached the 3rd measure. The only difference between the 3rd measure and the 1st measure is the very first note. Instead of playing a G on 1, we're going to play a D with the pinky on the A string at the 5th fret. On the and beat right after 1, we'll go back to the G note with that middle finger on the low E string at the 3rd fret. So with the 4 count lead in, let's just do the first 4 measures in sequence one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3, 4 E and. The 5th and 6th measures are going to be exact repeats of the 3rd and 4th measures. The 7th measure will be a repeat of the 3rd measure. really what we have here is two measures that are repeating themselves. All that we really have to do is cover the eighth measure, which is normally a repeat of the second measure. So what we're going to do is on the and beat after 2, when we go to this G note with our middle finger, we're just going to let that sustain out for the rest of the measure. We're not going to do that fill. And this is actually tied to another whole note on a ninth measure. So with the 4-count lead in, let's just play through all 9 measures in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 4 1 2 3 4. This part will appear at 4 junctures in the song. Besides the intro, it will appear as the main bridge at 1 minute and 27 seconds, again at 3 minutes and 9 seconds, and lastly at 4 minutes and 31 seconds. We have 9 measures in total here. What we're going to do is play through the first 4 measures until we reach the yellow highlight at the end of the 4th measure. That's a repeat sign. It'll send you back to the repeat sign, highlighted in yellow, at the beginning of the 3rd measure. We're going to play through these 2 measures twice, as indicated by the highlighted 1 through 2, which is the 1st through 2nd ending above the 4th measure. On the 3rd pass through these 2 measures, what we're going to do is go directly from what now appears to be the 3rd measure to what appears to be the 5th measure. Okay, we're just going to go right from the 3rd measure to the 5th measure, and that's the 3rd ending. We're going to skip the 1st and 2nd ending altogether.